Hi friends, a hearty welcome to One and All. Today we are going to discuss a new chapter, human reproduction. Human beings are unisexual animals. That means the sexes are separate, male and female, and human beings also exhibit sexual dimorphism. Morphologically, the male and females are distinct. Humans are viviparous mammals. They are giving birth to the young ones and feed the young ones with mammary gland, secretions from the mammary gland. The process of reproduction occurs after attaining sexual maturity, that's known as the puberty. They reproduce with the help of gonads, or otherwise known as sex organs. Growth, maintenance, and functions of gonads are regulated by gonadotropins, a group of hormones that are secreted from the anterior pituitary. Primary sex organs produce mainly gametes. In case of males, the primary sex organs are a pair of testes, and in females, it's a pair of ovaries. There are also certain type of organs which do not produce gamete or do not produce any hormones, but they play an important role in reproduction, and that organs are called the secondary sex organs. Secondary sex organs in males are prostate gland, seminal vesicle, epididymis, vas deferens, penis, etc. Whereas secondary sex organs in females are fallopian tube, uterus, vagina, and mammary glands. And the males and females can be distinguished by the secondary sexual characters or the external morphological characters. The male and female sex hormones are: male sex hormone is the major one is testosterone, and female it is estrogen and progesterone. These hormones are responsible for the development of secondary sexual characters such as body hair growth, voice change, muscle growth, development of penis, etc. in males, breast development, growth of pubic hair pattern, widened hip, menstrual cycle, etc. are regulated by estrogen. Now let us see a brief comparison between the male and females based on the aspects of reproduction. Now let's see a brief comparison between male and females based on the reproductive aspects. The male's primary sex organ is testis, and in females the primary sex organ is ovaries. Now let us see some of the comparison of secondary sex organs and glands. Epididymis, vas deferens, vasa efferentia, ejaculatory duct, urethra, prostate gland, Cowper's gland, seminal vesicle, penis, etc. are some secondary sex organs. Whereas in females, it is fallopian tube, or otherwise known as the oviducts, uterus, vagina, external genitalia, vulva, Bartholin's gland, mammary gland, etc. We'll discuss briefly about all these in the coming sessions. Then another comparison between males and females is the accessory or external sex characters. Let's see that what are those. Low pitched voice of male, the formation of beard and mustache on the face, broad shoulder, narrow hips, and breathing by means of diaphragm. Whereas in case of females, it is high pitched voice and smooth face. That means mustache, beard, etc. are absent, narrow shoulder but broad hips, and sternal breathing. Move on to the next. First, let us study the male reproductive system. The male reproductive system consists of a pair of testes, which are the primary sex organs, accessory glands, the duct system, penis or the external genitalia. So these are the male reproductive system. Once again, the male reproductive system consists of a pair of testes, accessory glands, the duct system, and penis, the external genitalia. Here is a diagrammatic representation which is given to see the sectional view of male pelvis showing the reproductive system. This is ureter. It brings urine from the kidney to the urinary bladder. This represents the urinary bladder. And from urinary bladder, a duct is arising that is known as the urethral meatus, and it passes on through the penis and opens exteriorly, urethra. It's commonly actually known as the urethral meatus. Okay. This is testis, the primary sex organ of males, and it is protected by a sac-like structure that is known as the scrotum. The testis is located inside the scrotum, and this part is the epididymis. From there, a tubular structure that arises which carry the sperms, and that's known as the vas deferens. It's known as the vas deferens or the sperm duct from the testis through epididymis, and the vas deferens is forming, and the vas deferens is continuing, and it is joining to the urethra. Before that, it receives ducts from seminal vesicles. A pair of seminal vesicles are there. You can see that it is labeled as seminal vesicles, and an unpaired prostate gland. This is prostate gland. And another one is bulbourethral gland, otherwise known as Cowper's gland. Afterwards, the urethra is opening exteriorly through penis, which is the external genitalia of male, and the tip of this penis is known as glans penis, which is protected by a fold of skin which is known as the foreskin or prepuce. Okay, these are the parts of human male reproductive system. Once again, let me explain. This is the primary sex organ testis, which is protected inside a sac-like structure called a scrotum. From this testis, a tube that arises, and that is known as the vas deferens. Vas deferens loops around the urinary bladder and it opens join into the urethra, and that part is known as the ejaculatory duct, where it receives a duct from a pair of seminal vesicles. Then another gland called prostate gland that also opens into the urethra, and another paired gland called bulbourethral gland that's also opening into the urethra. The urethra is opening exteriorly through the penis, and the tip of the penis is known as the glans penis, which is protected by foreskin. Penis is the external genitalia, and this represents the male reproductive system. Little more in detail and clearly, let us discuss the male reproductive system. The primary sex organ is a pair of testes, which is located outside the abdominal cavity and is protected by a sac-like structure called, or bag-like structure called, scrotum. Scrotal sac. Inside that, the testis is protected. This is the cut portion of the testis, which shows the testicular lobules, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. Different lobules are seen in the testis, which is known as the testicular lobules. From there, the ducts are forming, and finally the epididymis is formed. The epididymis continues to form the vas deferens or vasa differentia. The duct that leaves from the testis is known as vasa efferentia. Once again, testis is the primary sex organ which is protected inside the scrotal sac or scrotum, and there are some compartments inside the testis which is known as the testicular lobules, which consist of highly coiled tubules called seminiferous tubules. Details we will learn later. And from there, a duct system which is forming, that's known as the rete testis, which leaves from the testis is known as vasa efferentia to form the epididymis. Epididymis continues to form the vas deferens or sperm duct. It loops around the urinary bladder and opening into the urethra after receiving ducts from seminal vesicle, and this part is known as the ejaculatory duct. It also receives secretions from a prostate gland and a bulbourethral gland, a pair of bulbourethral gland. The urethra is running through the penis and it opens exteriorly. Penis is the external genitalia of male reproductive system. End of the penis is known as the gland penis, which is protected by a fold known as the foreskin. Even though the urinary system is not directly linked to the reproductive system, but there is a common opening for the urine as well as the sperm or secretions from the reproductive system. This is also referred to as urinogenital system, or this duct urethra which act as urinogenital duct. Now let's see the brief of the testis. Testis is the primary sex organ. It produces sperms or spermatozoa. The shape of this testis is oval shaped and it measures about 4 to 5 centimeter in length and 2 to 3 centimeter in width. It is covered by a thick fibrous connective tissue which is known as tunica albuginea. Testis is located outside the abdominal cavity and it remains suspended inside a pouch called scrotum or scrotal sac. Since the testis is located outside the body, the temperature of the testis will be always less than the body temperature. That is, this is to keep testis a low temperature, that is 2 to 2.5 degrees centigrade lower than the body temperature. And this low temperature is essential for the maintenance and functioning of spermatogenesis, that is the process of formation of sperms. There's a question usually asked: why human testis is located outside the abdominal cavity? So that is the answer for it. And the testis descend into the scrotum when the fetus is at 7 months old. And we can notice that some of the seasonal breeding animals, as we know that human beings are continuous breeders, but there are some seasonal breeders, some seasonal breeding animals, their testis descends into the scrotum during the breeding season only, and the non-breeding season it ascends back to the abdomen. Example like rats, bats, etc.